everyone, and welcome to KIBB Teleradio. So today we have a special guest who will share his ideas as we delve deeper into the K-12 readiness audit. Particularly, it's focused on evaluating schools, facilities, and curriculum to ensure alignment with the evolving educational landscape. So hello, Mr. Richard Avila. Welcome to the show. Bago tayo magsimula, Mr. Richard, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your work?
Okay. Hi. Good morning. First of all, it is my pleasure to be invited here today to share my thoughts, ideas, and opinions regarding the topic that we are going to discuss, which is the K to 12 readiness audit. I'm Richard Avila. I have been part of the academy for almost 7 years, and I'm currently finishing my master's degree in educational technology in the Philippine Normal University. And as of today, I am affiliated with the Department of Information and Communications Technology under the ICT Literacy and Competency Development Bureau, which is the training arm of the department. Again, thank you for inviting me here, and I hope I could provide the insights needed for our audience to understand this topic.
Hey, thank you, Sir Richard. Maraming salamat sa pagpapaunlak mo sa KIBB Teleradyo. So now, let's dive into today's topic, which is the K-12 Readiness Audit, assessing schools, facilities, and curriculum for the new educational system. So, Sir Richard, can you tell us a bit about the K-12 program? May mga ilang katanungan lamang ang taong bayan. So, for our question number 1, maaari mo bang ipaliwanag sa amin ang kahalagahan ng pag-a-assess ng ating mga eskwelahan ukol sa kahandaan ng mga ito para sa K-12?
Okay, so first, what is K to 12? When we talk about K to 12, it is a program under the Department of Education. Specifically, it is a Department Order number 31 series of 2012. And I will just quote no yung nandun sa Department Order that the K to 12 program covers kindergarten and 12 years of basic education, which is 6 years in primary education, 4 years in junior high school, and 2 years for senior high school. This is to provide sufficient time for mastery of concepts and skills, develop lifelong learners, and prepare graduates for tertiary education, middle level skills development, employment, and entrepreneurship. To answer yung question, no, kung ano yung kahalagahan ng pag-assess ng ating mga eskwelahan regarding the readiness ng K to 12. Due to the transition, no, sudden transition from BEC curriculum to K to 12, I think it will be obvious na yung most of the schools, private man yan or public, may have the challenge in implementing the curriculum. And I guess pare-parehas yun regardless man kung public or private. And as the implementation of K to 12, nagkaroon naman ng global pandemic of COVID, and it hit the education system really hard. So nagkaroon ng online classes na ginawang options ng mga schools. Naging sikat yung term na synchronous, asynchronous classes, na pag nag-enroll tayo, that is some options na naririnig natin as to kung paano tayo papasok sa school ngayon. Ngayon, pag sinabi na kasi nating importance in assessing the readiness, I think one of the importance is that we must know yung benefit nito dun sa ating stakeholders. When we talk about the stakeholders, ito yung mga school administrators, teachers, students, and parents. Kasi when we know the level of readiness, yung importance nun, it helps the schools in catering the K-12 or the K-12 in making enhancements, amendments, or the implementation of the curriculum itself. And updating yung implementing rules and regulation or guidelines ng DepEd, I think mas ma-improve pa yung implementation ng K-12 curriculum.
Okay. So, for our next question, so marami din nagtatanong nito, ano-anong mga specific features na ating mga school infrastructures ang dapat pagtuunan ng pansin na ina-assess ng ating audit?
Okay. Actually, medyo mahirap sagutin yung question because as far as I know, iba-iba kasi yung learners natin when it comes to K to 12. Ah, Kasi as school caters learners, there are different areas na kailangan nilang pagtuunan ng pansin in consideration, number one, in the demographic of the school. For example, school dito sa NCR, madali lang siyang equip ng mga specific features na kailangan. For example, pinili nung isang eskwelahan that they will cater ICT track. Madali lang naman silang i-provide ng computers, computer laboratories, equipments and facilities dahil nga nandito sila sa NCR. But what if nandun sila sa mga areas na mahirap abutin or mahirap yung transportation? So somehow that is one nung kailangan i-consider. Pero para sa akin, no, but not all the time naman na hindi na nipapadala, for example, yung kailangan, like yung computers or any facilities or any equipments na kailangan. Not all the time naman. But I think yung to answer the question, kailangan pagtuunan ng pansin is yung laboratories and facilities for me. Kasi pagdating sa senior high school, it is more on skills development. So kung hindi nila na-experience at tinuturo mo lang siya, it is somehow nonsense. Kasi hindi nila na-experience firsthand. So for example, if yung school, meron silang focus na track, kunyari ICT, or kunyari ABM sila, or home economics, I think if their laboratories is up par, no, dun sa kailangan ng mga estudyante, I think pag na-upgrade nila yon at naging conducive siya for learning, this will aid the learners to have the first-hand experience and syempre yung skills na kailangan nila para matapos nila yung track. Parang ma-engage ba sila doon sa kanilang piniling track. So somehow, nagiging problem din if they choose the right track na kanilang ititake. So another is definitely na kailangan pagtuunan ng or specific features na kailangan pagtuunan, not typically a physical infrastructure but yung curriculum as well. Yung curriculum, wala naman perfect na curriculum. Kaya nga nire-review yon, kaya nga ina-assess yon in a certain period of time kung up to date pa ba yon or kung kailangan pa ba yon. And knowing the strengths, knowing the weaknesses ng curriculum is very vital to make sure that the curriculum is effective and efficient for implementation.
So, nabanggit mo sa Richard about sa curriculum. So, moving on tayo sa curriculum assessment. So, ano-ano kaya mga key areas ang ini-evaluate for the K-12 readiness audit in terms ng curriculum assessment?
Okay, actually medyo malawak din 'yun, no, yung curriculum assessment. And there are some key areas na kailangan din tingnan, especially nung mag-audit if the implementation is effective or not. Number one, dapat naka-align siya sa 21st century skills. No? Yung curriculum must be somehow na i-implement yung 21st century skills or nagagamit yung 21st century skills. So, ano ba yung mga 21st century skills? One is critical thinking, creativity, collaboration. Another are, ito dapat alam na to din ng mga estudyante ngayon, ng mga learners ngayon, is that they are media, information, and technological literate. Kasi yun na talaga yung ginagamit, yung implementation ng technology sa pagtuturo at pag-aaral is very common na, or it is a norm na ngayon. Leadership, social skills, and global awareness. So I think that is one. Another is yung kailangan din alam nila, or dahil isa dun sa 21st century skill is yung global awareness. Meron tayong tinatawag na UN Sustainable Goals. And one, at ang pang number 4 doon is quality education. So, dapat yung curriculum will promote or will be implemented with equality. Pero hindi naman yun makukuha agad-agad. Kaya nga, ina-assess siya, ino-audit siya. But having a quality education or promoting that quality education will affect yung curriculum as well. So, kailangan base siya doon sa standards. And lastly, tingin ko, is the integration of technology in our curriculum. Not all subjects can cater or can use technology. Pero para sa akin, thinking of any intervention that can be used or using technology, maaari mo siyang gawin. So, pagkakaroon ng ganong curriculum or pag-implement ng technology in that specific curriculum ng isang subject can help or can aid the teacher, not only the teacher but the student as well, para mas maunawaan niya at mas maging interesado siya doon sa kanyang pinag-aaral.
Okay, so sa tingin mo, how can these schools effectively utilize the findings of the K-12 readiness audit para ma-improve nila yung kanilang mga facilities and curriculum?
Okay. So I think based on sa second question, to identify the strengths and weaknesses ng eskwelahan or ng implementation, as well as makita yung areas of improvement. I think yung pag-utilize niya effectively, no, para ma-improve pa yung facilities and yung curriculum. Una sa lahat, they can identify kung saan sila dapat mag-focus. For example, if the school has the facilities but the teachers or the training of the teachers is not sufficient, isa yun. Pwedeng gumawa sila ng mga training program for that para mas ma-enhance at mas ma-utilize yung facilities nila. Another thing is that dapat continuously yung pag-evaluate at pag-assess nila ng mismong curriculum nila. Because if they are stagnant doon sa tinitake nilang curriculum, hindi nila nire-review, hindi nila ina-assess, or they don't look for any experts para i-assess yun, I think that would be one of the problem at hindi talaga magiging effective yung utilization nung na-audit sa kanila. Kasi kung nakita mo na yung weaknesses or yung mga kailangan mong or areas of improvement na kailangan, I think revisions, yung review, yung assessment ng curriculum will be a vital action para maayos nila at mas ma-update nila yung curriculum. And lastly siguro yung laging mag-seek ng feedback. Feedback doon sa curriculum. Not only to the teachers but also to the students. Kasi sila yung mismong, yung teachers yung nag-implement nun and yung students yung nagki-cater ng learning based doon sa curriculum. So dapat there is a feedback not only quarterly, not only yearly, kundi talagang for a long period of time para malaman yung effectiveness and efficiency ng curriculum.
Okay, so para sa ating huling katanungan, Sir Richard, so kung ikaw ang tatanungin bilang isang teacher, ano sa tingin mo ang dapat gawin o pagtuunan ng pansin ng mga eskwelahan na makakatulong sa kanila para makakope up sa K-12 or sa mga co-teachers mo, anong pwede mo i-recommend sa kanila para maging handa sila sa pagbabago na ito, lalong-lalo na ngayon sa 21st century?
Okay. So number one, I guess, is the intervention ng gobyerno itself. As of now, the Department of Education, they have what you call matatag curriculum. This is somehow a enhancement or an intervention dun sa K-12 curriculum. For now, nasa primary level pa lang. I think nasa grade 1 or nasa grade 1 and grade 2 pa lang yung implementation. Wherein it focuses more on in the curriculum na nagkaroon kasi ng learning gap during the pandemic. So isa yun sa mga challenges na until now, kailangan pa rin talagang pagtuunan ng pansin. So kung akong tatanungin, number one, yung sinabi ko nga is the intervention ni government. Providing those kind of intervention or enhancement sa curriculum will help the teachers, the students, the school administrators. Number two, I think, yung the personal motivation of the teachers as well to develop professionally. Kasi in teaching or in academe, if you don't make sure that you develop professionally, kung hindi mo talaga, hindi ka magsisik ng learning, kailangan lagi kang matuto pag nagtuturo ka. So it is a continuous learning. It is not just dahil ito yung napag-aralan mo, ito yun. It is not like that. So you just need to continuously learn, update yourself as a teacher para maka-cope up and make sure na alam mo rin kung ano yung tinuturo mo. It is more of the mastery of the subject matter. And lastly, tingin ko, yung ano, yung educational technology, kasi dahil nga edtech din ako. Pero I think up, yung update ng technology in the schools will motivate both the teachers and the students to be able to enjoy learning. Kasi, syempre, yung ibang schools, sabihin natin yung mga private schools, they have the facilities, they have the laboratories, they have the equipments. Pero, not all has the access for that. So, siguro yung educational technology or yung mga equipments or implementing technology sa pagtuturo will help them definitely to cope up with the readiness or sa mga changes ng K-12.
Yun. So, maraming salamat, Sir Richard. And thank you for providing valuable insights into the K-12 Readiness Audit. So, I hope nag-enjoy ka sa ating maikling kwentuhan. I also hope that our listeners have gained a deeper understanding tungo sa pagiging handa o mas handa pa sa K-12 sa 21st century. So, thank you for being a part of this episode. This has been your host, Casey Bicedo, para sa KIVB Teleradyo. Thank you very much.